getting back to what we were talking about with the Bibi Netanyahu's visit to the country, and the UK apparently has now withdrawn its objections to the ICC's prosecutor seeking a warrant for the arrest
And
of
this is
Bibi Netanyahu and I think it's also Gavir and three other officials from Hamas.
and this is Keir Starmer's, Labour Party. Like, this is potentially something that we could see in the next administration for the Democrats. These like subtle shifts on this front is my guess here.
And yesterday, the Hill's Niall Stanage spoke with National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby at a press conference and questioned if there wasn't some type of conflict between A, reclaiming moral authority, and B, having a potential war criminal address Congress.
Just to take the long view of this, very early in President Biden's presidency, February the 4th, 2021, he spoke at the State Department about his priorities in foreign policy. And he said that one of those priorities was reclaiming our credibility and moral authority. The Prime Minister of Israel is, in the judgment of the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, a war criminal. Isn't posting an alleged war criminal in the Oval Office undermining of credibility and moral authority?
No, because we don't consider him a war criminal.
But the International Criminal Court does.
We don't agree, and as we've said before, we don't find the ICC's finding to be relevant or appropriate in this case. We don't find him to be a war criminal. He's an ally and a partner and a friend.
Well, the Chief Prosecutor says that Israel does have legitimate war aims, of course, but the way Israel chose to achieve these in Gaza, namely intentionally causing death, starvation, great suffering, and serious injury to body or health of the civilian population, are criminal.
Is that a question? Because if it is, I've already answered it. We don't consider him a war criminal.
I should say, I should correct myself. It was Gallant, who was the second Israeli official, along with three Hamas officials. And this question was asked before, in my understanding, before we knew that the British were going to essentially rescind their complaints or objections to this prosecutor seeking those warrants. And look, we also know that there have been investigations ongoing for a decade with the ICJ, and that for that decade, according to reporting from The Guardian and 972 magazine, Israel was literally threatening the last ICJ prosecutor.
I think the ICC on that story, just not ICJ, right?
Excuse me, the
ICJ because they go after criminals.
Right,
yeah.
International Criminal Court prosecutor. The predecessor to Khan, who is now the prosecutor, which incidentally Israel at the time said, well, we're in favor of his installation as the prosecutor because he's more reasonable. Well, he's more reasonable, and he also has found that they are criminally liable. Again, their process is he's applying for a warrant. But this is where we're at. The idea that the United States suddenly has the ability to adjudicate these things and no longer thinks that these pronouncements from these international courts are valid is laughable. I mean, it's disgusting. And
well, it's in the same way that Israel can investigate itself that they always claim, right? Like we've heard John Kirby come up there and say, well, we trust Israel to have a good process of investigating when they killed 4-year-old girl Hind Rajab with a strike. We'll get back to you on that. Have they gotten back to us on that? Not exactly sure. And the UK is also announcing it'll resume funding for UNRWA. I'm not sure if you saw that
nope,
last week. So and then we've talked about how this Labour Party that it has just gotten into power in the UK has kind of sprinted towards the center. But the fact that they're doing this and the United States now stands alone as the only major funder of UNRWA to not resume funding, and standing alone in giving a middle finger to the ICC, should give you an indication of how obsessively Zionist this administration under Biden is, and the team that he's put together in the State Department with the West exec folks, with Blinken, with Sullivan, McGurk, spokespeople like this. So part of why I'm emphasizing this is that this is just so exceptional in the bad way. And it'll be interesting to see if maybe they even take some of those steps that we're seeing the UK do in order to have more synchronicity with Harris's administration if she chooses to go in a more sane direction, which I think she probably will. Or is Biden still so recalcitrant and obsessed with Israel that he'll cause problems for her by being this obsessively dogmatic, even when he's a lame duck?
I think he will. I mean,
well,
I
right.
think
He's been selfish this entire time. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he?
Well,
Yeah.
my sense is that he has made in what in his mind is the ultimate sacrifice, and he will influence this policy to the extent that he can. But again, if Harris at least on some level is indicating that there's going to be a change of policy, it will create some pressure on Netanyahu. But we'll see. I don't know that she's going to provide people with some people with enough evidence of change, or that she can, frankly, even while maintaining as both the vice president and a candidate, that's going to satisfy people. But that's where we're at this point. We shall see going forward. Joe Snuffy, hearing Harris's pathetic non-statement about Gaza yesterday makes me worried that she doesn't have what it takes to win. You can't triangulate between genocide good and genocide bad. If she sticks with this position, she's going to lose. I mean, I don't. I think that just the evidence from an electoral standpoint is that there are people who are heavily invested in this issue, who are seeing it in a different light than you. But I don't know. I hope you're wrong, but we'll see. I also hope she goes further than she's gone. But when we talk about the opportunity to pressure her, Harris, on this, that she represents a more, in the words of Ole Olemi, an easier foe to litigate against on this topic. Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.